Hello, I'm Suzanne.
And I'm Peter, and I'm
Hey,
back.
Peter, you're back.
I am.
Peter's
Yeah,
back. We thought we'd bring Peter back for sex advice for seniors because though he's on a yoga teaching something rather, and
right.
Peter's had some big changes in his life. And I thought people were asking me like, "What's happened to Peter?" I thought,
All right.
well, let's
Okay.
bring him back on. Let's find out what happened to you, Peter.
Well, what happened to me was that I moved from Oxford to Sheffield, and I'm living above the canal. And I'm just looking out now on canal boats and people walking along the quayside, and it's all been done very nicely. And there's a pub just 75 meters away called the Dorothy Pax, which is just, like in is it Friends or something, where there's a pub where they all meet
Yes,
and shoot
friend.
the breeze, and it's just like that, except it's run by two gay guys, and it's full of trans people, and it's just kind of wonderful, really. I go there at least once every day, and the only drawback is they don't do food, but I go there, at least once a day. Actually, that's probably an exaggeration. I didn't go yesterday because I thought I'd have a day off. But yeah, I've done that. I've moved to Sheffield, which is a bit of a mess, really, in the centre of town. The only shop left in the centre of town is a Wilko's, so that I'm not even sure if it's there anymore, and I only went yesterday.
They don't sell
Um,
sex toys in Wilco, do they?
Sex toys? No, I haven't seen any sex toys. They've got a do-it-yourself department, so is that the same thing?
Possibly.
Yeah.
So I sent you up to Sheffield saying go and go and meet up with your mates and find the happiness that you were missing out on in Oxford where you were living before. Um and obviously that has worked out quite well for you, really sounds like, except perhaps on the sexual side. what's what's
Yeah.
what's going on in the romantic department?
Well, there's not a lot going on sexually. There's munches, and there's meetings, and there's swingers clubs and all sorts of things. Well, there used to be one in Sheffield, I
No, it's
think.
closed. That's closed.
Yeah, yeah, it's closed just as well. I think it was pretty horrible,
Yeah.
judging by the photographs. Um, so yeah, but I've got this community of friends now, some of whom are women,
Yeah.
and some of whom we get along very well.
Women
Um,
friends. Who knew, huh?
Women friends, yeah. Um, Somehow sex isn't as present in the front of my mind as it was before, and
Hmm.
I think it was a function of loneliness in lots of ways.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, I'd like to get involved here with whatever's going on, and sometimes I think I'd like a girlfriend,
Hmm.
and other times I think, oh, I'll just get a cat or whatever. But I'm very happy living on my own. I've got a nice flat that I'm just doing up. Builders finished doing the work on yesterday, so now I've got this. Well, I'm living in a building site basically, but it's very good. Sexually, yeah, not a lot happening, but it's not for the want of trying.
Hmm.
So, but
No.
I could try harder, I expect.
Yeah, you could, but I suspect you won't.
Well, I might eventually. I'm seeing a few women that I've met through various different ways,
Yeah.
but they haven't. It hasn't manifested itself in sexual contact at all yet.
Hmm.
My MS has got a bit worse, so I've got a disabled scooter now.
Hmm.
I mean, I can still walk and everything, but for long distances into town and things, it's just easier.
Yeah.
Um, so that's a bit of a drawback when it comes to sexual contact as well. I think women are kind of put off by that as well. But I don't know. It's very difficult to tell. Um,
You have a seat on the back of it that they could just jump on.
they could sit on my lap, of course.
They could do.
No, it's I've tried a couple of times, but it only takes one person really,
Okay.
and my grandson. He loves it. He
I
spends
think,
it.
though, it's a very important point that you've made, which is that sex sometimes comes at be you know the desire for sex sometimes is a result of loneliness and not necessarily because you've got this massive horn on. It's because it's you're missing out on the intimacy in your life, and intimacy comes in all different forms, and some of that is around just being social, right? And just
Yeah,
hanging out with people and just having a social life, which I suspect you were missing in your previous home, and now you got like all these mates and all these people around all the time. And I think when we do have a lot of activity in that way, our desire for sex is like, well, yeah, okay, it'd be nice, but it's like not the be all and end all. Whereas when you don't have that, you think, oh, it'd be nice to get laid.
well, I think you can think both, really. It would be nice to get laid all the time. I don't think my libido has gone away at all, but it's certainly not as present in my mind as it used to be.
Yeah,
But yeah, simply because the everyday is taken up with social contact.
yeah,
Um, and living on your own and seeing friends every day is very different to living on your own and seeing friends once in a blue moon. It makes a hell of a difference to the way that you feel about the world.
yeah,
And I find myself much happier.
yeah,
And I feel as though I've landed now in the place that I'm going to spend the rest of my life. And
yeah,
unless something drastic happens. And I just feel very settled and at home, and I think that's really, I think
hmm,
it's very important. The last place I was in was lovely, but it wasn't mine, and
no,
there were all sorts of restrictions and caveats that I had to follow. And here I've got my own place, and I can do what I want basically, and it makes a big difference.
yeah, no, absolutely. And I've never seen you look so happy and relaxed, which is good,
Yeah,
which is good.
yeah, no, I do feel good. I do feel good, and yeah, I think that's really an important factor.
Yeah,
Is that I just feel at home.
yeah,
I feel as though I've come home, um, and it's kind of a cliche, but that's kind of important. And I've my border the borders of my life have closed kind of right down.
yeah.
So I live on the quayside here, and the pub's on the quayside, uh, and I get my shopping from Ocado. Uh, and if I didn't want to, I would never have to go anywhere but the quayside.
Yeah,
And it's very tempting to do that because it's so comfortable. But
yeah,
you have to make the effort to go to other places. So sometimes I pop into town, which is all of half a mile away. So yeah, no, it's great. It's great,
yeah.
and I
And
feel
I've
much.
gone back into the world of swinging clubs, which is
Yeah, you said.
kind of funny and fun. And yeah, but kind of in a sort of, I can take it or leave it way still. I'm not desperate for it, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and you went to Cap Dag as
yeah, and
well.
I went to Capdag on my own, which was great. And
Yeah,
I'm just, recognizing how much, like you, just how much I like being a single person. And I just have to keep reminding myself of that.
yeah,
Um, and I like having, people that I can just have fun with. Like I've always been like that. And yeah, the whole boyfriend situation doesn't really work for me very well. And so, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I think the difference, is that being a woman is that you can, I mean, the funny thing is that recently, some people that I was intimate with back in the early 2000s
Oh,
have
yeah.
suddenly reappeared out of nowhere, and
Oh.
I had to remind myself why I stopped shagging them. I was like, why? And then I was like, oh right, because that was like 16 years ago, and I've had a few relationships since then, and I've done this and I've done that, and probably they have as well,
Yeah.
But they've sort of they were they were people that were kind of fun. So I thought, oh, that's kind of funny that somebody I haven't met up with either of them.
Right.
One of them only lives down the street, and he was like, "Oh yeah, let me come over and have fun with you." And I thought, "Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool." And I said, "Why?" I was like, "Why did I not? Why did I stop dealing with you?" And then I sort of dug through some old stuff that I wrote back in the day, and I realized, oh, it's because he was flaky, and he never. He used to say like he was going to take me to Monaco and do all this kind of really fun, expensive stuff because he was loaded, and I obviously had fantasies back then of becoming somebody
A kept woman.
a kept woman, yeah, which is always my fantasy, and then he didn't materialize into that, and now of
Right.
course I think, oh, but he did have a really big dick, and that was good.
That's an
Let's
important
put this
consideration.
guy in perspective for what he was good at before and what he wasn't so good at, and now that
Yeah.
I'm a much older woman I can do that. And yeah, let's see if that one happens. And his pictures on the website are still some of his old pictures. So I'm
What,
like,
from 20 years
yeah, I'm like,
ago?
man, you need to update your pictures because
Yeah.
I remember that picture from like nearly 20 years ago. I said, Jim, I said, you've said that you're 47. And I thought, and I said, that cannot be true. And I thought,
Unless, yeah, you were 20 when we were doing it. Yeah.
I don't think so. I said, you're still a commodities trader or something, right? And he's like, you've got a very good memory. And I thought, no, I just stalked you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I remember the well-paid jobs.
Exactly. Like, you got to remember the guys that have like good jobs, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
you
absolutely.
keep them in the phone book. Although I was in his phone book, but he wasn't in mine. So that,
Oh, right. Okay.
so that was,
No, well, I've got old friends here,
yeah,
old loves here, and that's very good. But I think the big difference, of course, is that women can get a shag anytime. Basically,
anytime.
men have to work at it,
Yeah, yeah.
um, which
Well, they
is
have to work
why.
at it a bit more than you do. I suspect that's the point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could do it. Yeah, I'll put it's on the list. I will make the effort at some point, but I'm getting the flat straight at the moment. I've got to have a shag pad. I haven't
Where's
even
that
hung my
sex
sex.
swing?
Yeah, I haven't even hung it up yet.
Have you got one?
Um, yeah.
Did you?
Well, I know it's an outdoor, barbecue swing thing,
Oh,
but
okay.
you you could use it very easily as a set swing.
Really? What, like one of those egg-shaped things?
No, I didn't get one of those in the end. They were hideously expensive, so I went
I knew you were
for
going to say that.
yeah, well, Mr. False Economy. So I went for a canvas one that sort of hangs, and yeah, you
What, like
could
a
have fun.
hammock?
Yeah, sort of one person hammock seat that hangs down.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
well, it's a hammock stroke slash swing, uh, and you could use it for fun things as well.
Oh, okay. That sounds interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but I
I'm,
haven't even hung it up yet. Yeah, the problem is I don't trust myself up step ladders drilling
no, you don't want
things into the ceiling, so I have to get someone in to do everything now. Whereas I used to
to.
do
Yeah.
it all myself. So yeah, um, and then of course the sky's the limit.
Oh yeah.
I'll be having sex parties and orgies and all sorts of things here in in the flat.
All you have to do is go to the munch. So for those of you out there who are like, "What's a munch?"
Oh yeah, yeah.
Munch, because probably people are like, "I don't know what a munch is." A munch is when people who are typically into alt lifestyles like BDSM and stuff like that get together in a friendly social way, usually in an afternoon, and they wear their street clothes. So they're basically kinky folk that are dressed up in just normal street clothes so that they blend in, but they meet each other to determine whether they want to see each other again. So sometimes all fetishy people meet up with each other because they like to have a bunch of people who have similar interests to them, and they
Mm,
just want to chat about their favorite kind of rope and stuff. I met a friend of mine last night I hadn't seen again in I met him over 20 years ago on nerve.com, and as he was reminding me, and we just went out for a drink because I was nearby where he lived, and he likes rope stuff. And I said,
right.
"Oh, how's your rope stuff going?" And he said, "Oh, I haven't done that recently because I have to burn the ends of it and I don't have a gas cooker." So,
Has he never heard of lighters?
no, I think, no, you need a lot more flame than that. It's
All
not
right.
enough flame.
Okay.
It's quite. So he's like, "You've got a gas cooker, don't you?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." And if you want to come to my house
That's
and
it.
and tie me up and sort out your rope situation, you can.
That's a good way to introduce yourself. Have you got a gas cooker at all? I need to burn some rope. I'll use that as a chat up line.
It was quite funny. I thought he
Yeah,
was so sweet.
it is.
Yeah, it was really sweet. So it was nice. It was nice to see him. But yeah, I always think I'm the very epitome of never burn bridges because like unless somebody's really screwed you over, then
Yeah,
screw
sure.
it, then fuck them. But if
Yeah,
they haven't, and you've just kind of things have just kind of withered, then you just don't know really how your life is going to move forward and whether actually you had some a friendship, something that was made it worth hanging on to, really. you know
yeah, yeah. Well, all my old friends and lovers are all academics, really. So so we slot back into that academic pattern very easily as well, and talk about Hegel and Kierkegaard and Heidegger, um, which I enjoy as well. That's good. I feel as though I've got because the people down the pub are live on canal boats and they're all a bit crusty and they all smoke. They all chain smoke and
do they?
yeah, God, yeah. And one of the guys that owns the pub, I asked him, I said, what? He was complaining that they're not making enough money at the moment. And they had a festival that got rained out and it cost them thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
And he said he spends he's £75 a day on cigarettes.
No.
70, yeah, well, it's nearly 20 quid a packet now. And
No.
yeah, and you just kind of think, well, I said to him, well, why don't you stop smoking? And in a year, you'll have made that money. And he said, oh, yeah, but it's too late now. And I don't know. So anyway, I've got this very, separate lives.
Yeah.
The Heidegger bunch and the people that go down the pub. And
Yeah.
I like that very much, having that separate things. But as yet, I haven't got a sexy bunch.
Yeah, yeah. You
Um,
sex positive group of people that'd just be fun to hang out with, you know?
Yeah, there have been a couple of munches here, which I haven't gone to because I was ill, I think.
Yeah.
Um, One of the women at the pub is involved with the munches, so there's a sort of Venn diagram going on thing of circles that overlap. So, I might go to something with her at some point.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, but it's extraordinary how it's not so present in my mind anymore. I'm not so frustrated or lonely. So
Yeah.
yeah, but you know, still on the lookout. So anyone listening to this from near the Sheffield area,
Yeah, if you're in Sheffield, you know where to go because literally Peter will just be just going from the warehouse in which he lives to the Dorothy Packs and back again. So if you
yeah,
want
75 yards.
if
Yeah,
you
so
want to meet Peter, just go to the Dorothy Packs at night on the
just
chances
hang
are,
out on the quayside.
or just hang out on the quayside, or you could just go to the quayside and just shout, Peter Marriott. And likely it is, he'll just poke his head out the window and go,
Yeah,
who's asking?
I, I will hear you. The Dorothy Pax is great. They have live bands almost every night, so I'm down there quite a lot. It's listening to jazz, and who was it last night? It was the Red Guitars and all sorts of things. It's really great.
Maybe I could do
Um,
my Dirty Blues show there. What do you think?
yeah, I'm sure you could. Yeah, I'm sure you could.
Maybe you need to suggest that to the Dorothy Packs that I could
I
come up
will
and
do.
do the Dirty Blues show with
Yeah,
George or somebody rather.
yeah,
That would be
brilliant.
that would be fun. But
Yeah.
yeah. No, what have I done recently? I went to a swinging club called Hellfire. I went to another one called AbFab. AbFab was funny, actually. I'll tell you, the funniest thing about AbFab was I walked in and I knew that I'd been there before, but
Is it in
like
London?
near Heathrow Airport. And
Oh, that one. Yeah.
I recalled that when I had gone there, it was in this kind of one-story building, like a bungalow kind of building, and there was a long garden in the back, and it was notable because it had a swimming pool and like a jacuzzi, but it backed onto a runway in Heathrow, right? And I just
Mm.
remember like this garden, this long garden, and then literally the other side of the fence was the runway. And I couldn't forget this, of course, because it was just so vivid in my mind, this runway. So
Pretty loud as
up,
well.
we drive up to this place and I see the runway, but it's not where I expect it to be. And we pull into this industrial estate and we enter this building, which is many stories. And I'm thinking, this is weird. I don't remember this at all. And then I think, well,
Mm.
I'm old. So I probably just reimagined this in a completely different way, right? I mean, I thought it was this place, but maybe that was another place that I went to. Maybe this is a different place. I don't know. So anyway, we're in there and we're going up to the different floors, and there's a humongous swimming pool, but it's inside. And I'm thinking, I don't remember
Mm.
being inside. And then I look and I'm like, the runway is across the street on the opposite side of where I expected it to be. And I thought, this is all very, very odd. So, and the guy I was with was like, do you remember this? And I just said to him, I don't remember any of this. And he's like, are you sure you've been here? And I went, I thought I had. So anyway, then I went to the Capdag and I met this really nice couple. And I was telling them about the places that we'd been visiting. And she said, oh no, that's the old AbFab. And I went,
uh,
oh, what do you mean? She went, no, no, they moved. They used to be in a bungalow. The runway used to be at the end of the garden, but they moved. They're in a totally different building in a totally different place. I was like,
right.
and I went, oh my God, that all makes perfect sense now because
I'm
I
not. I
really
haven't got
thought,
Alzheimer's.
I really thought I thought I was going crazy. I was like, this is, this isn't the same place.
Yeah.
And there were signs all over it. In the downstairs was where the jacuzzi and the swimming pool area and everything was, and everything was like no blowjobs here, no sex in the water.
No heavy petting.
No, nothing. It was just like, and if you tried to do anything, there was like the sex police were coming in and going, stop that.
Yeah, there's a different sort of sex, please. I should imagine.
It was like,
Yeah,
yeah, it was like trying to do something out of the water because it said nothing in the water. And he was like, well,
yeah.
what if it was out of the water? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, it just says in the water, it doesn't say out. And they were like, no, out either.
Well, so
Okay, sorry about
where did
that.
you have to go? They have special
No, they had
designated rooms to.
rooms upstairs and everything,
All right.
like
Yeah.
normal.
I must admit, yeah, in
Yeah,
the swimming pools always seemed a bit strange to me. Um, there's enough stuff in there to swing around in anyway without
I mean, there was a
swimming around in a pool of jizz. Yeah.
there was a swimming pool in the club I went to in Cap Dag where all sorts of activities were going on, and honestly, by
Ugh.
the end of it, the water was really gross. I have to say, really, really, really,
Yeah.
really gross, and yeah, I mean, you'd have to be one brave or stupid person to do something there, but
Yeah. Like
yeah,
going swimming in the British River.
yeah, it was disgusting. Really, really
Mm.
disgusting. I would not advise that. But anyway, aside from
Yeah.
that, it's quite fun. But yeah,
Yeah. Sounds though you're having a fine old time.
yeah, I'm having a
Yeah,
fine
that's
old
good.
time. And it's, yeah, no shortage of entertainment if I want it. So that's good. And yeah, no, not like, all like every day, but yeah, enough to keep me interested,
Keep you happy.
keep me
Yeah.
awake. So yeah. Anyway, I'll see you on the weekend
See
and
you on Saturday. Yeah.
see you on
Yeah. I've
Saturday.
booked my tickets and managed to get ticket return to London from Sheffield for 40 quid, which seems very cheap
That's
on the
cheap.
train.
That's
Very cheap.
very cheap. That's very
Chose my times, and they've changed the way you do it now. It's two singles rather than a return, and it's worked out a lot cheaper
so it'll
with my
be Rio's
disabled
couples
pass as
night
well.
after the party.
Sorry?
Rio's couples night after the party.
Oh, is it?
Well, it is on Saturday. It's in Kentish Town.
Yeah. All right. Just around the corner.
All right. I'm
All
gonna
right.
go. Bye.
Bye. See you
Bye.
soon.